Steven Bartlett. 2 of his ads have got banned for essentially not being clear that he has a commercial tie to the business.
It's going to open a can of worms for like everyone else who's probably also doing the same thing.
Why shouldn't he now be allowed to promote his own product?
They've almost got to do it to everybody or nobody at all.
We do it. I'm doing it now. Look at us. Welcome to the Fake Marketer, one and all. Nick isn't with us. Michael. Michael's with me.
This is like back in the old days. I remember back near the start we used to sit up in the little cubby.
Nostalgia.
With the yellow
Michael.
cushions. We haven't got them anymore.
We haven't, no. We're in the in one of the meeting rooms. But no, Nick's not with us. Nick is down in a meeting with a client, so we're on. And I'm quite excited today because I did a little LinkedIn post this afternoon, and I've had quite a few comments, and it's around Steven Bartlett and his banned ads for Huel and Zoe, and Huel, which is the one we've discussed on many times on this podcast. But the reason why it's good actually you're here, not Nick, is because you're going to have a different opinion than probably I do, and I'm intrigued to get your opinion and perception versus mine. And actually what I've done online has actually got 2 different opinions, which is quite interesting here. So this is what I put out on LinkedIn earlier today.
Do you want to explain what happened with Steven Bartlett before?
Yes, so 2 of his ads have got banned by the SASA for essentially not being clear that he has a commercial tie to the business.
Yeah.
So essentially he's being a bit naughty or sly. Whether he's doing it intentionally or not is up for debate, and I'm not debating that today. But what's interesting is that you had an opinion from a consumer who aren't a business owner, whereas I sort of went, well, he's a business owner and he's promoting his own product, but because he's big time, he gets penalised for it. So I'm intrigued to get the opinion. But this is what I put on LinkedIn. Okay, so I just read that the ASA has banned ads from Huel and Zoe because Steven Bartlett didn't spell out that he got financial ties to them. I hope they don't ping me for promoting Rupert. Ha ha ha. We all know that when a big name like Steven backs a product, there's usually some connection. It's common sense. But now the ASA want entrepreneurs to give a full disclaimer about every little detail. Come on. Steven's not just some random celeb. He's invested in these companies because he believes in them. Why should he be penalised for showing some love for brands he's helped build? Transparency is important, but do we really need to treat consumers like they don't get what's going on? A simple sponsor tag should do the trick without making us jump through hoops. Is this ruling a step too far, or am I missing something here?
What time did you put that live? Since then, you've had a lot of people talking about it.
Yeah, I've had 15 comments. Not a load, so don't get me wrong, guys. I'm not.
That's for LinkedIn, though. That's
yeah, but someone's reshared it and put her opinion because she wasn't happy that I put. What was it? That's it. Transparency is important, but do we really need to treat consumers like they don't get what's going on? And she didn't like that, which I totally understand, which I get. But then you said to me earlier, Michael, well, I wouldn't really look at it and think of it like that way. Didn't you, upstairs?
Yeah, you mean it's sort of... Yeah, I guess from my perspective, if he's saying like, this product's, the best thing, I've tried all of these, you've got to make sure you try this. I think to the average layman who's sort of outside of business and marketing, they probably don't know that Steven Bartlett, it makes sense to us that Steven Bartlett's involved with Huel, but they'll probably just think it's like any other podcast where they do an ad read for, Better Help or HelloFresh or whoever it is, where they just go, this is the bit where I'm talking about a product. Granted, we've been paid, but it's sort of a bit like, You've been paid to say it, but it's also in your best interest to do it because you're getting kickback from it in a way. So yeah, I get why they banned it, but as you say, it's going to open sort of a can of worms for like everyone else who's probably also doing the same thing.
The problem is it's really hard because we've employed influencers for Rupert at the moment. We're going through that rigmarole, as we mentioned the other day. And these guys are getting paid to promote my product. Yeah, that in simple terms. They don't care about Rupert, really. Well, at the moment they don't because they haven't used it, but hopefully they will do. You know, we mentioned Gordon Ramsay on here, you know, with the Hexclad. Whether he's getting paid or not, I think he is. He's doing.
Yeah, I was going to mention that later, but I looked at. He's like, I think he's like part owner of Hexclad.
Okay, so there we go. Okay, but what I find frustrating about this, so I understand that the average Joe on the street probably won't know that he owns some of the business. I get that, and I'm not naive to it. But this is my flip side to this, okay? Steven Bartlett, for the last 10, 12, 15 years, has worked his nuts off to create a brand so he can milk it. I think that's fair to say. And fair play to him, he's achieved that goal. He's on Dragon's Den, which means he's known as not only a podcaster, but an investor. So that's his, you know, that's sort of how he's perceived to the outside world. Why shouldn't he now be allowed to promote his own product? I'm not saying that he shouldn't or he should, but what I'm saying is, if I was to look at it from his perspective, apart from, you know, having the sponsored ad like we all do when we run ads on Meta and these other platforms, surely that should suffice. Why does he need to let people know that he's got commercial interest and commercial ties with those particular businesses?
Yeah, it's probably like he's just got to that sort of level where it's going to come under scrutiny, whereas lots of other people, as you say, will like fly under the radar doing it. There's probably a lot of smaller people who do it all the time.
We do it. I'm doing it now.
That's what I mean, like with us. But I mean, even like a step above us, but below him, there's probably loads of people doing it who might be.
It's a big step.
They might. Do you think there's people out there who are looking like, oh, we might have to change our ads or something?
So not only do I find it frustrating that he's created this platform himself and now is milking it by promoting his products and services. I get it. But I also see the flip side. But what I don't see and what I don't understand, right, is the amount of products on TikTok of all places at the moment. The products are shit. So at the moment, I'm being advertised this golf bag. I need a new golf bag, okay? And obviously, the algorithm picked that up, which is brilliant. And it's $29, this golf bag, which is cheap for a golf bag.
Yeah.
And it looks like a good golf bag. The comment section's turned off. I've gone on there, and there's no Apple Pay. It's all a bit weird. A marketing agency or a business, that business is promoting that product, and potentially it's a scam. They will get no penalties for that. Yet Steven Bartlett, I don't know if the Zoe product or Huel, obviously I use Huel, so it's a good product. They could be shoddy products, but he's being penalised for it. And the highly likely is they're not bad products. So he's been penalised, whereas all these businesses that are selling and marketing agencies who are getting paid by these businesses, who are selling shoddy products and services, knowing that they're shoddy, they're happy to sit on LinkedIn and go, shouldn't be doing that. Yet they're all doing it. I'm not saying they're all doing it. I'm not putting everyone in a barrel here. But come on.
Yeah, I think if anyone had a podcast that was the size of his, they would do the same. Especially if you've worked with Huel and go like, oh, you know, we've been working on. I don't know how involved he is with them, but he's probably had. They're at least discussing what they're making. So if there's a new product that he knows is, you know, good, then why would he not talk about it? Because he knows he knows that it's good because
that's
he was
what
there.
I mean.
Yeah.
I find it. I get it, and I really do get it. But it's this. You know, it's the LinkedIn world, isn't it? You know, suddenly you've got hold of it. I wrote a post on it today because it's in the marketing sphere, which is where we reside. But yeah, to give him grief for it, like you know, there's someone else who has done this, and they haven't provided, you know, where their commercial ties are. Sorry, and this is the girl called Grace Beverly. So Grace Beverly,
she does ads for everything, doesn't she?
But she's got commercial ties with like Tala. No one knew anything about it.
Yeah, she did an ad for Revolut, I think, as well.
And a lot of these have, you know, she's got commercial interest in that. So stuff like that, I totally understand. Like, I do sort of get it. But they've all created their own personal brand to milk it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying let them milk it. They've got to have, we've all got to work within the same restrictions. But I don't know about this one.
Yeah, they're probably their argument is probably about disclosure of it, maybe more than it is about actually doing it. Maybe it's the fact that he should be allowed to promote it, but there should be something where he says, obviously, I'm shareholder and
should just be sponsored. Surely that, like I said before, with the influencers used, sponsored. The ads we run for clients, sponsored. I don't know why that doesn't suffice. Like, if you saw a sponsored Steven, spot, or let's say your parents suddenly got marketed for Huel, right? And they said sponsor the top, they'd know it's an ad, right? Mm-hmm. Even though some people don't even know it's bloody a paid ad. But they'd have enough knowledge to be able to do that. Yeah. Surely that ticks the box. Do they have to write a disclaimer saying, I own some of the business?
Well, I suppose not everyone who does a sponsored ad owns some of the business. They don't.
Exactly. I don't know. I'm up in the air in this one.
I think it'd be interesting to see what happens going forward with those, because it will be like, now do they have a responsibility to go after other people? Like we talked about Gordon Ramsay, and there's people who are also big, and it's a bit like, if you don't then go out after them, but you've singled out Steven Bartlett, it feels a bit unfair then. And if you're going to try and go out after every single person, then it's going to be a long day, because there's going to be loads of people who are promoting stuff that they're part owner in, at least. Yeah, I put it in and it said Hexclad part owned by Gordon Ramsay.
See, that there is such a good example. It's such a good example, which is, he's got a commercial interest in it. The product's brilliant. Is he now going to get penalised?
Or if they're enforcing it fairly, then by their rules he should, because unless he's saying, I am part owner in Hexclad, which I don't think he is. But it's like, yeah, it's sort of, now that they've done it to one person, they've almost got to do it to everybody or nobody at all. And
would you have known? Would it matter for you?
Yeah, I suppose how much difference is there between them having a stake in the business and being paid for it? Because if they're being paid for it, they're going to say it's a good product. And if they've got an interest in the business, then they're going to say it's a good product as well. So it's sort of like, is there that much of a difference? I'm not really sure. But I get why people are annoyed, but also I think it's the idea that anyone in his position wouldn't also do a similar thing is a bit crazy. Especially people on LinkedIn who are a lot smaller thinking, well, I wouldn't do that. It's like, well, you're not in his position.
So what all this boils down to what the cap code is. Do you know what the cap code is?
No, I don't know what that is.
No, very few people know what the cap code is. And I have actually just used ChatGPT just to summarize
Cap code?
CAP, C-A-P. So committees of advertising practices. So essentially it's the coverage of non-broadcast marketing communications. So print, email, online, direct mail promotions and stuff. Okay. So the CAP code emphasizes several general principles, including truthfulness. Ads must not be misleading, either by omitting important information or by being ambiguous. Social responsibility. Ads must be prepared with a sense of responsibility to consumers and society. Decency. Ads should not cause serious or widespread offence. Health and safety. Ads should not encourage behaviour that could harm individuals' health or safety. Now, there are some specific rules around children, health products and financial products, which makes total sense. But when you read that, again, if I look at Steven Bartlett as an example, and again, if we use
Gordon,
Mr. Ramsay as an example, truthfulness, well, the product's good in his eyes, so he's being truthful. Ads must be prepared with a sense of responsibility for consumers and society. I think he ticks that, surely, doesn't he? Decency. And health and safety. So and obviously health products are a little bit different because obviously Huel is sort of around that and the same as Zoe, but, claims about health products must be supported by evidence and should not be exaggerated the benefits.
Yeah, I don't think anywhere in those ads he's saying anything that it's not like a medicine or something where it could injure people if they take it. It's like it's meant to just be good for you. And I'm sure Huel have backed it up with lots of stuff.
I don't know. And I understand the enforcement around from the ASA, which is the Advertising Standards Authority. I get it. I'm up in the air in this one.
It's a bit of both, isn't it? It says the ASA said many consumers were unlikely to realise from the adverts that he had a commercial interest with the brands, and suggested social media users may have thought he was giving an endorsement from an unbiased perspective. But if you pay an influencer, they've got a commercial tie to the business, right? Yeah, because they're not going to make an ad that says this is pants.
I honestly, Michael, this one is interesting because there's no right and wrong. It's an opinion.
Yeah, and going forward, it's like if they don't enforce it on other people, then Steven Bartlett's probably right to be annoyed about saying, why am I being singled out if loads of other people are allowed? The
problem is the bigger you get, the target's on your back. Like our background with data, when obviously the new GDPR regulation was tweaked and it was iterated a little bit, we had a lot of our bigger clients, so Renault, Mercedes, people of that ilk, was like they had to be, and it's brilliant. All our clients are whiter than white, but they had to make sure, obviously, when you've got that many staff, where's their personal data being held? Is it on a spreadsheet? Is it, all that stuff had to be clear because they will fine you. And they do want to use an example. Like Dyson got pinged a couple of years ago for huge amounts of money. And it wasn't massively what they did out of turn, but it was a mistake. Hands up. And they got penalised, huge amounts of money.
Yeah. And if you're a small business, we don't know how anyone handles GDPR at a smaller business level.
I'm not even going on GDPR today. But yeah, so there we are. So that is the shenanigans of my LinkedIn post and Mr. Bartlett.
I don't know if Steven Bartlett said anything about it. Is he allowed to say anything about it, or is it like
I don't know.
Whether he'll contest it, or I'm not sure.
Well, I
think the thing I said earlier that I think you mentioned, where I said, is this going to change Huel or Zoe's advertising campaigns or plans?
No.
Yeah,
because
but
working.
They surely have ads with him in, don't they?
Yeah, but
do they not have to not use those now?
I don't know. I don't know.
Or whether they can use the ad but put a thing on it that says, I don't know, a disclaimer or something. Because it says banned ads, doesn't it? Which implies they can't use them anymore. And it's whether that will change what they were planning to do, I don't know.
Well, let's say I'm as big as Steven Bartlett, yeah? Won't be. But let's say I do, yeah? And I'm go and use Rupert's class. Based on this, I can't.
And then it's sort of you've got a but then you could, as Rupert's owner, pay another podcast to talk about Rupert, and they could.
Bad Friends that I listen to every Monday when the new episode comes out. They do so many ads in that. So many ads.
So they couldn't advertise their own thing, but they could advertise your
But they
thing.
do. They advertise their T-shirts and their merch.
Yeah. Which they own. But I suppose maybe it's more explicit there because it's what the podcast is. If it was the Huel podcast and it was an ad for Huel, maybe it's different to it being his podcast. I don't know. I get it, but it's subjective, isn't it? It's the rules are there, but it's how they enforce them is sort of selective by the sounds of it.
The reality is, until the laws are changed and they're implemented correctly, things won't change. But it's the policing of it. This is why I get so frustrated just with the DMA and the ICO, right? In my opinion, DMA especially, not fit for purpose. They don't do a good enough job. And you can send them this, don't care, right? When GDPR happened, it was obscene. So to give you an idea, when GDPR was released, the first iteration, GDPR, just for everyone out there, isn't a new law. It's been around for donkey's years, but they just tweaked it because of what was going on, especially in the consumer market with data. They sent me a document, which was the first draft, which is 300 odd pages long. Read it, made sense, but it was awful because no one could use data for anything. Even Mercedes couldn't call their customers, say they had a service due. It was that bad. But they changed it and all the rest, and we were legitimate interest players, especially on the business side and also some of the consumer stuff. I spoke to the head of solicitors and litigation at the DMA. I said, look, you've sent me over a 45-page summary to use for our clients. For the mass market out there, which is smaller SMEs who are up to 4 or 5 employees, they're not going to understand and sit there and read on 50 pages. You could put this on 1 or 2 pages. So he went away and said, no, agree. They came back with a 24-page document and went, we think this will suffice. No, it won't suffice because it's 24 pages in riddles.
Yeah, it's probably not straightforward to read either.
It's really not straightforward. Like, you've really got to understand it. Obviously I've been in it for so many years, you understand the terminology and stuff. If you were just a small business owner, whether you're a bakery or a small, pretty legal firm's a bad example, but accountancy practice or a small marketing agency that doesn't do data, you'd have no idea. So they're not fit for purpose until these laws are changed. Is one issue, but then how they police that is different, because we know how quickly you can turn an ad on and off. So it's not like you've sent a video, an editorial out to a newspaper, or you've sent a TV ad out, or some billboard stuff. It's not like that. You can turn an ad on and off within minutes. How are you going to police it? You can't. So yeah, that's my penny's worth. It's annoyed me that is today. It has. It's really bugged. It's bugged me a bit.
We're normally having a go at Steven Bartlett, but we're like sticking up for him now.
No, because he's worked. Whether you like him or you don't, these people have worked really hard to get what they've got.
Yeah, and
now they're milking it.
It feels unfair that it's just him. Like, why him and nobody else?
That Gordon Ramsay one's a good example. Now, I don't know if that was sponsored or not. I've not done the research in it, but. What an example.
Yeah, from the ads I've seen, he just says like,
Look at Nick. Nick sold, right? No, he's not here today. He's sold on HexLab because Gordon Ramsay given him a little
he just says like, I use HexLab, but he doesn't anywhere say like I.
What did I say months ago? Bet he owns some of that. And he does. Of course he does. These celebrities, these guys are, big, influencers.
Why would they not if they're like, he's going to push so many people towards it.
It's ridiculous. So yeah. So there you go, Michael. So we better go on to the ads we've seen this week. That's honestly, that's done my nutting today. So let's have a look at what ads we've seen this week. Seems like Nick's not with us.
We haven't seen Steven Bartlett's ads because they're not. I've got one that I sent to the TikTok, which was...
Do you want to go first?
Yeah. I've also found out now, after so many months of being in this room, that you can just actually play the sound through the TV and then it won't be behind.
Okay. Talk us through it. This
is from, I just saw this randomly on TikTok. There's a estate agent called Knight's Estate Agents in Barry, which is famously known for where Gavin and Stacey's filmed.
Okay.
So there is a woman whose TikTok account is called Knockoff Nessa, who does videos as Nessa from Gavin and Stacey, and she did a house tour of the house. I don't know if all the streets in Barry look the same, but this looks like where Gavin and Stacey was filmed, and she did a little.
So she actually does. So don't play it because I've seen this. So she does a house tour, doesn't she? As Nessa.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I just thought it was great, and like I was just like, it shows the house. It's good for the obviously it's doesn't show like everything about it, but it's just a good way to promote the property. I thought
it's just different. I love it.
Yeah, 85,000 likes. And it's like, how many? If you posted a normal video looking around a house, like no one would really care. So I just thought, creative way to do it. So shout out to Knight's Estate Agents in Barry.
Barry. Well, I've got two.
Do.
So I want to shout out to Simmer.
Simmer.
Who's got my keys to me rumor. Right, so Simmer, fair play to him, because he is everywhere.
He's like the new golden boy now.
Yeah, he's getting his family involved. I want to try his meals. I really do.
They're doing there's like a birthday sale or something, I think, at the moment, because I keep getting Instagram ads for it. I think.
Okay.
I don't know whether I think it's Simmer's anniversary or something. They're doing so much off Simmer, I think.
Well, he's omnipresent in my feed, and that's one of the hardest things to do is become omnipresent in my feed, and
especially with that sort of, I imagine that market's quite crowded.
Hugely.
Like sort of ready meal. If you think how many companies would probably do something like that, huge amounts.
So yeah, no. So fair play. He's everywhere at the minute. And
Was
I
it,
found
was it a specific one, or was it just him?
No, just in general, mate. There's so many. Like he's getting his dad involved. He's doing loads of stuff.
I saw he went to the Euros, I think, as well. He went to the Euros and was talking about that.
So did I, but you know. So yeah, no, Simmer. And then the second one, which was Tony's chocolate.
Oh, I know Tony's chocolate. Yeah,
okay.
With the big, like, bold branding that they have.
Correct. So I learned something about Tony's via CNBC this morning of all that time.
You're watching CNBC?
Yeah, I like to know what's going on. It's only because the financial crash is coming and I'm just making sure that, you know, we're okay, Michael, basically. The Japanese yen has increased.
Is that good
its
or bad?
interest rates is not good at all.
Oh, okay. I don't know anything about stocks, so I'm just like, is that good or...
No, it's not good. But yeah, so no. So on there, so they had a bit about Tony's chocolate in terms of their growth and stuff. But Tony's chocolate, the chocolate itself, when you open it, is all in different shapes and sizes. Chocolate, so it's not like squares like Galaxy and all the rest of them. And there's a reason for it. And there's a story behind this, which I love, is that a few of them are in the shapes of the countries where they get their cocoa from.
Oh, I've tried Tony's chocolate, but I didn't realise
It's
that.
Nick's favourite. So
Is
if you
it?
get Nick a present, salted caramel he loves. So a little treat. And yeah, I never knew that, but I thought, what a story. Like,
That's good.
Amazing.
Their whole thing, I think when I first saw them, they donate some of their money to like help end like slavery in parts of the world as well, I think.
Well, because a lot of the places where they get the cocoa from, it's obviously, you know, they're not the...
Yeah, they said, so obviously that all ties together, which is quite good.
I loved it. I loved the story behind it. And what I loved about it is that every time now I pick up, I don't eat chocolate very often, but when I see a Tony's chocolate bar, the first thing that's going to come to my head now forever, until the day I die, is that.
Yeah, that's good. They're trying to do, as I say, they're doing something a bit different. They're like...
I think they've done it forever, but no one ever knew. And
yeah,
I absolutely loved it. I thought it was brilliant.
Because not many people do different shaped chocolate, really. Obviously, you've got like Toblerone and stuff like that, but...
Yeah,
like,
but
just bars, there's not that many. And
there's a story behind it.
Yeah, it's good.
Do you know Toblerone, you're supposed to pour them together?
I didn't know that.
I didn't until recently.
It's like that thing, you know, the thing in the logo. There's like the bear in the logo.
It's cool, isn't it?
We're just talking about stuff that everybody knows.
No, I don't. No, they won't know that. So, yes, there we go. That's the ads we've seen. So, Paul will be happy. We've, you know, chewed the fat on Steven Bartlett. I know I've always been a naughty boy to some. And I'm running again.
Was there more people, so before we jump up, was there more people in agreement with you on LinkedIn or against you?
Let me look.
I know we've sort of merged segments here, but I was just wondering.
Yeah,
because you said you had... Was those comments including comments where you went back to people?
No. So one person's like, get Grace. I was like, okay. We've got a lady that runs another social media advertising agency like ourselves. She was very much, it's unethical. I get, but I always like to see it from both sides. Paul was...
Is that Paul Alban? Paul?
No. Paul Ince, not the footballer. He's was more concerned around the general public not understanding the commercial ties and interests of some people, which again I understand, but
that's like the case for loads of companies, isn't it? There's probably like any company that does a deal with anybody that's going to promote them, you probably don't know. They're just...
Although I have to say, so one guy, Trev, great guy, unverified. When did you last handwrite a letter? Anyway, right. So Trevor put advertising, just one line. Advertising is legalized lying.
It's a good strapline.
Yeah. So yeah, no, a bit of both.
Bit of both. It's quite divisive, I think. It's quite a divisive subject. It's got a lot of people talking about a lot of stuff. LinkedIn will be... I bet everyone on LinkedIn, when they saw that, they were like rubbing their hands together, like, "Oh, I'm going to get a post out of this."
I'd say a bit of both. But again, for us as advertisers, yeah, that's the crack. There we go. Well, look, good episode of Fake Marketer.
Nick will be back next week, I assume. Will he be back,
or Nick will be around. And yeah, we'll see you on the next episode.
All right.